Hey, what's up guys? Red Bishop here, and it's another video review. We're going to have two this week. This time it's for ScreamRide, which is developed by Frontier Developments, who made the launch title Zoo Tycoon for the Xbox One when it launched. And ScreamRide is an interesting game because it kind of came out of left field when it was announced. It kind of disappeared for a little bit. They kind of then brought it back, announced the release date, and stuff like that. So it's a $40 game on Xbox One. It's also $30 on the 360, so it is both on both Xbox systems. And there are three distinct modes in the game. There's ScreamRider, which is essentially you get on a roller coaster and you ride that roller coaster. There are different things in there in that particular mode. So you start out, you have to hit the X button on these blue ramps or these blue tracks to get turbo. You hold the A button down to use the turbo. As you progress through each series, which are a total of 6, you'll come across where you need to do jumps. So you need to hit the X button right before you land a jump. There are some where there are obstacles in the way, so basically you have to lean left and right to avoid them to keep going on the track. So that's one mode. The next mode is the Demolition Expert mode, which is essentially kind of similar to what you see in an Angry Birds game. You have these cabins that will rotate, and if you hit the A button, it'll launch the cabin into these buildings, and then these buildings will start to demolish. There are explosives next to them. When the more you demolish, the more points you get. It kind of has that, to me anyway, the kind of a Frostbite engine feel. Obviously, it's not as good as the Frostbite engine, but it has that kind of feel where stuff will collapse all the way. You can kind of see the particles and the effects come down. And to me, that's probably, and to most people, that will be the most fun mode to play because they constantly, in that one, introduce new cabins. So you start out with a cabin that's basically just a sphere that goes into a building. The next one you get is it breaks apart into 3 pieces. Another one is they get wings. So basically, instead of you having to worry about the right speed of the cabin, you can hit the A button and the cabin will get wings, and you can fly it into any building that you feel like it needs to go into. So, those are 2 of the 3 modes, and the last one is Engineer, which for people who like Roller Coaster Tycoon and those types of games, this is where you get the ability to build your own roller coaster. So they'll give you challenges like, this roller coaster is half built, fill in these gaps to finish it. Or they just give you a thing of like, hey, build this roller coaster, make it reach a certain top speed, and use these certain loops throughout. And then they do a good job as well of combining the modes. So there are some where the engineer will say, build this roller coaster, but have the cabin, have the roller coaster shoot into a building and have that building blow up. So they'll combine the Demolition Expert and the Engineer modes together. So they do a good job of making sure that when you're playing one, they kind of throw in other bits and pieces of the other modes together. And that does a good job of, if you're only playing one particular mode, it gives you the ability to try out the different ones without actually selecting them. So they kind of sneak some of those parts in, and I think that's a damn good job of doing that. Now, I mentioned that there are a total of 6 series, and most of those have 3 levels per mode. Some of them have 4 levels, but inside of each level, you kind of have these various challenges that you can complete. They're not required for you to beat the level, but they give you more commendations, which then unlocks the next series of events. And these challenges will range from depending on which mode you're in. So if you're in the ScreamRider mode, it'll be don't lose any riders or get perfect turbo throughout the whole track. So it kind of gives you the ability to replay some of these levels, and it kind of gives you more of an incentive to do that, and I think that's cool. The downside with the 3 modes that I mentioned is the only ones that I feel are really fun to do are the ScreamRider and the Demolition Expert. The Demolition Expert mode, which again is kind of like the Angry Birds style game, is the most fun to play throughout the whole game. The ScreamRider kind of gets fun to play when you get to about the 2nd or 3rd series. And then the Engineer ones, to me, I just don't find building tracks to be that fun. And I understand that will appeal to a certain audience and it won't appeal to the others, but I just don't find it to be at all enjoyable. So if you're thinking about picking this up for just purely building tracks, I think you probably will have some fun there, because not only do you have the Engineer mode, you have the ability to make and share your own levels. There's a sandbox mode that allows you to make rides, allows you to make tracks, so you can make your own Demolition Expert event. You can make your own roller coaster track. You share those with the world. They then download them and play them, and they can rate them and stuff like that. You can put your own commendations in there. You can put your own challenges in there. So you can kind of basically, like you were a developer on the game, you can just do that at free will. And I think that's another cool thing. There's a ton of cool things in ScreamRide. I just feel like it doesn't keep my attention long enough for me to actually care about them. I think for $40, I think they kind of priced themselves out of a few sales. I think for 20 or 25 as a digital-only title, ScreamRide would have done extremely well, I think. But I believe with it being $40, and I believe with you being able, you can kind of blast through all 6 series in a night if you want. Like it's nothing difficult about these missions. They're not these events. They're not overly difficult to complete and to do. And so I feel like if you do that, and granted, not most people won't go through a whole night of them, but if you're able to do that, unless you want to go through and get every challenge, there's not a whole lot of replay value there. And I feel like they just missed the mark by not adding enough events, by overpricing it, and I feel like it's a fun game, but it's just nothing. Like I play a mode and I play an event or two, and then I move on. It doesn't keep my attention long enough like some games do. And so with that, I have to say I would recommend it at a lower price point. I'd say $20-25 would be a good price for it. But until then, I would say hold off on it. And that's going to be it from our video review of ScreamRide. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And have a good one.